Okay, I have no idea if sound is actually recording. And I have to admit that it's a strange sensation to have earplugs in, which is what I have. I'm wearing earplugs, and to be speaking into a microphone at the same time. But I'll just speak low. Hopefully this isn't too loud. I have the sound set to -6. There's a microphone in the helmet about 1.5 inches, 1 inch to 1.5 inches away from my where I'm speaking from. My lips, my mouth, and going out to practice right now. We are using a different camera system. This is an Insta360, and if I recall correctly, it's called an Ace Pro. I did bump the camera on the way out of the door, and it moved the camera a little bit, so the frame might be a little different than I had it set to. I tried to put it back where I thought it was without looking through without taking the helmet back off. You should be able to see a little bit of the helmet to frame left. So what I noticed about wearing earplugs is, like when you ride a motorcycle, I was surprised to learn in the training courses that we're supposed to wear earplugs. And that's because the wind sound, the wind is so loud when riding a motorcycle that it can actually cause hearing loss over time. And I've noticed that with the electric unicycle or scooters or anything, any kind of micromobility, the wind noise is also a factor, right? So we don't want to damage our ears. And so I'm wearing earplugs, but I did notice that for example, on the electric unicycle, because I'm like hitting these small bumps, I could hear every bump in my eardrum, which is weird. It's like it's transferred through my body. The vibration is transferred through my body into the well, I don't know how it works. I don't actually know how that works, actually. I don't know why it sounds so loud when I hit little bumps. But yet, the wind noise, I'm protected from wind noise. So the good thing about having sound is that if anyone wants to hear my thoughts, they can listen to my thoughts by having the sound turned up to your desired preference. And if you don't want to hear sound, you could easily turn the sound off, which is what I do when commercials come on. I hope it's okay that I say that. I feel like I'm not allowed to say I don't like commercials. It's not that I don't like products and good products. It's just that when I want to look for a product, I want to seek it out. I don't want a product seeking me out. And I've also noticed that 99.999% of the products that seek me out, meaning that I just randomly see being advertised, it's not something I need at that time. Now, I know oftentimes we'll buy things to future-proof our life. Oh, this looks like a good cleaner, right? Like a cleaning solution or a soap. Well, we already have a lot of stock of soap, but when I run out, I could use this other stuff, right? But here's the thing about that. By the time I run out of the stuff I already have that I like, there's going to be 10 other new products out. And I'd like to compare those at the time that I'm seeking out a product. And then a lot of products that I think are really important, for example, just to my own life, I don't really see out there being advertised. What I mean is I don't see it on the news. I don't see it on YouTube videos, commercials. What I mean is the commercials that come on when I'm watching a YouTube video. I've seen so many people that talk while they're riding and crash. Now, I'm not saying that the talking causes the crash. But I do wonder sometimes if someone might feel like they've mastered something like an electric unicycle to such a degree that they could hold a selfie stick, like an Insta360 selfie. I think I'm saying that right. Yeah, the stick that you can hold in front of you, behind you. People are really good at not letting the lenses get broken. They hold the camera up when they're falling. I'm pretty amazed by how well people protect those cameras. But my thoughts are that well, right now I'm thinking I sure hope the sound is recording. It's okay. Like I said before, I repeat myself a lot, so whatever I said today will be said again. I lost my train of thought. Now I was talking about something and I lost that line of thought. It'll come back though. That's the interesting thing about trains of thought. They come back, even if they seem to be lost. Okay, so if you ever see me hold my phone up, I'm checking to see if the red light is flashing on, in the past, has been a GoPro 7 Silver, and today is a Insta360 Ace Pro. So right now I'm doing my practice. Let me go ahead and turn this headlight off. I don't need the headlight on right now, there's plenty of light here. Let's go ahead and do a horn test. Yep, that's working. So I practice my sharp turns in parking spaces. And I thought of practicing as a way to minimize crashes. But it can also be perceived as a way to maximize skill. And because I so often call this YouTube channel a journal, it just made sense to be able to speak to you while I'm writing. And while I'm practicing. Okay. Whew. All right. I have the Insta360 Ace Pro set to -6 decibels. For sound. I'm still interested in installing the Wolfbox i17 into the helmet as a backup camera. I'll call it, well, yeah. It'll be a dash cam built into the helmet, but it'll also be allowing me to see behind me, which I want that. I want to have, especially for practicing going backwards, which I haven't been doing very much. The main thing I've been practicing is high speed forward, because in a group we're not really going backwards much, if at all. But if I'm doing 45 miles per hour in a group and I go down, let's say because of lack of experience, I could get really hurt, and I could hurt others, right? If I fall and take out 10 people behind me, we've all seen that in crashes with bicycles, with racing cyclists, right? Or one guy in the front falls, or someone in the middle falls. Next thing you know, it's like 30 people on the ground. And when they fall, it's bad. If you follow this channel, you may know already that as a child, I was learning about how the brain only uses such a small percentage of itself. And I've always been interested in trying to use a little bit more, or all of it, if possible. Or even more than all of it, right? More than all of it. But what is it to use the whole mind? What would that look like? What would that feel like? What would the world look like if everyone used 1% more of their brain? And if we used all of our brain, the whole world, every person on it, would we still have war? Would we still be burning a fuel that is bad for us to breathe? It's funny because the thing that so many said not to do in learning to ride an electric unicycle, they said absolutely do not do this one thing, right? And I did that thing, and it allowed me to learn to ride forward and backwards. But there's people that will say, do not do it. Absolutely do not. And what is that? Push a shopping cart. I pushed a shopping cart. I held onto a shopping cart and allowed my body to learn what it feels like to balance on an electric unicycle to some degree, right? Because I was using something to support me, hold me up. And I don't think a shopping cart's ideal, but I made it work. And I thought if I could learn to ride forward, why not? Why can't I learn to ride backwards? Or can I learn to ride backwards, right? And I did. That's how I learned. Did it take longer? Some people say it does. It takes much longer to learn with using a basket. And some people just get on an electric unicycle right away and they're pretty good. Because I didn't know how to snowboard, I didn't know how to ski, I didn't do any of those things. I didn't know how to roller skate. But this electric unicycle, I thought, I want to learn this. I want to learn this. And I'm really glad that I did. And I'm happy to be here sharing my story with you in my journal, which right now, the working title is True, True, 0, Zero, emissions, EMISSIONS. I think I said that correctly. Emissions. True zero emissions. Before that, it was humanity and technology, which I learned from a scientist. Scientist and artist. He said, we can have humanity and technology, and that we must. You can't have one without the other. If you just have technology, then where's the humanity? Now, if you just have humanity, I think we would be driven to use technology for medicine, right? And that's what technology is really for. My understanding is, my perception, my considered opinion, it sounds weird to say that, but I'm going to say it, meaning I've given a lot of thought to this, is that the purpose of technology, what drives it, is whoa. Okay, I'm really glad I didn't fall right there. I was lucky. I went through some oil. That was extremely slippery. And the wheel slid sideways. What I mean is, as I turned, it slid this way. The wheel slid. That oil's still on the tire. Okay. And I probably stepped in it, so my feet probably have oil on them. Let's see if I could get the oil off my feet. Make sure we're still recording. Yeah, the light's flashing red. So right now, one way to clean the tire, well, I could just keep riding it. I could also go through some dirt, which I think I'll do right here. If anybody's watching me, they'll probably say, what is that guy doing? Now, hopefully I don't hurt myself doing this. I'm not running the plant over, I'm just running in the dirt. I'm going around the plant. Dirt grabs oil. If I say it that way. Okay. Yeah, I've seen a lot of, if you watch Dan the Fireman, a lot of people, I'll call it wash out on their motorcycle. On a turn, even on straightaways, where they hit a little bit of oil, where a car leaked oil or spilled oil, or where an accident happened, and maybe drop some coolant, right? Coolant is extremely slippery, and the bike just loses control in the back, sometimes the front, or it wipes out, at least the person on the ground. Hopefully wearing full gear though, hopefully. I see some more dirt over here. Right now I'm looking for dirt. I don't see a way to get up to the dirt. Oh, here's some dirt. I see some dirt over here. I'll go over there. Go over to that dirt. My tire's probably fine right now, but why not be extra sure, right? Then I could rub my feet in the dirt too. Now imagine if I didn't get this oil off the tire and I just was riding around and slid out and crashed just because I didn't clean the tire, right? So here's some, hopefully I don't pop the tire in this. Hopefully I don't crash right here. Ugh. Got it. We did it. It figures I go through the bushes and a police officer's right there. It's like, what timing that is. What timing. You know. Anyway, I'm glad that the officer, you know, I'm going to say just making sure I'm safe, because that's what they do. They're checking on public safety. If I'm not putting anyone in danger, and if I'm not putting myself in danger or anyone else in danger, I think everything's okay. If I put myself or others in danger, then believe me, the police will pull you over so quick, because that's their job, is to protect. And I've been protected by them many times. Oh, I see some oil right here. Just like everyone else in the world, though, there's, you know, I've met very kind, polite, respectful officers, and I've met officers that might have been having a bad day, if I say it that way. But that's a hard job. And I don't know if I ever told anybody this, but since this is my journal, when I was in high school, I was seriously considering joining the military, the Air Force specifically, or the police academy. The police, you know, I was going to the police academy out of school. Those were some thoughts that I had. And someday I might share more details about that. But right now I'll just mention that. I can tell you that my right leg was broken so bad when I was a kid from a bad accident that the Air Force said they couldn't take me. And so that's a little bit of history there. Now I can say that while simultaneously being filled with desire for the world to not fight, right? And I understand that right now no one wants to fight. I mean, most people don't want to, you know. I've said before that I think people are fighting to have their needs met. And we need more communication, and we need more de-escalation. We all need training in de-escalation. That should be part of some kind of schooling, some kind of training of having, like, being masters of de-escalation, which means to bring things down so they don't escalate, right? So they don't go up and up and up, but so things can come down, down, down. They say it takes two to fight, right? Two. If one person doesn't want to fight, can there be a fight? I mean, we all know the answer to that. Yeah, there could still be a fight, but it helps if both, if I'll call them both parties, practice de-escalation. I think de-escalation is a master skill. Like, it's so important. It's so important. Okay, the officer might be pulling in here again. I don't know if he's going to say anything to me. I've asked for permission to practice here. I do have permission to practice here after they're closed. I am a person that loves to get permission. I like to ask before doing something. Why not, right? Why not ask? It's good to ask. I remember I made a video once where I was sharing so much information about my projects and things I was working on at the time, and the sound didn't record. It was on an old GoPro camera. I don't know what model it was. Probably like a 4 or a 5, or possibly newer. And to think that, you know, I could not have any sound, I was like, oh my goodness, how could this happen? It's so frustrating. I remember telling someone that as a person, I like to be polite. I like to be kind, respectful, thoughtful, mindful. I enjoy it. I seek it out. I appreciate it. I respect that. And one day I was explaining this to someone, I won't say who, and it was really upsetting them. It was as if they were looking at me like I was a slave to being something that didn't let me be free. But to me, great freedom is having the capacity to respect someone, having the capacity to de-escalate a situation. Even if that capacity is not inherent, not already built into us, can I develop that, you know? And the brain is just so amazing, it's so powerful. Okay, let's see, what's our next exercise? Let me go back to practicing going backwards over here. Now, why is going backwards important? To me, what if I just want to stand, like called the pendulum, where you go back and forth? I have to practice that more, by the way. I don't know, it's something I want to learn, you know, and I want to be able to do. I'm saying that and I'm doing it. What I mean is I want to continue to get better at it. Now I do need to practice the pendulum more, where you can stay in one spot and go back and forth, back and forth. Okay, I think we're good for tonight. For now, I mean. Let's go ahead and move on. I've seen the police many times watch me practicing. They'll pull up and park and they'll watch me. Not just here at this parking lot, but everywhere I've practiced. And my guess is that I'm just guessing that they're fascinated by the technology. That's my guess. Because they haven't, if I recall correctly, they haven't interacted with me, but they like to watch. You know, maybe they're taking a 5-minute break or something, or maybe they're taking notes. I don't know. I think the police force, it's just my own opinion, could benefit from learning to ride electric unicycles and training with them. But the proper gear would be required, which is right now I think it's just motorcycle gear, motorcycle racing gear. That could be on-road racing gear or off-road racing gear. But the boots are different when you compare on-road and off-road motorcycle. And what I've seen is the on-road motorcycles boots will look like they want to slide on the sides. They'll slide easier. And I think that's because if your foot hits the ground, if it grabs the ground, like if it has traction and just grabs it, I think that could break the bone. It could twist the bone and break it. Now, if your foot slides, then you just slide on the ground. You just fall down and slide, right? And and I think that then the energy of the momentum or inertia, I'm not sure what to call it, that energy of the speed that we're going at that time will be dissipated over time, and a lower amount of friction at any given moment, right? Because if all of the traction grabbed the ground when we hit the ground, then that could put all that pressure on the bones and leave an ankle broken or leave something broken. That's just my thoughts. I would like to see some books written on electric unicycle technique and racing. And I don't know when that will come. Maybe it'll come if I ask someone to help me write one. Maybe the book is me interviewing professional racers and asking them if they'll share their knowledge and experience of how they do what they do. So one of the things I'm practicing is something called carving, which is really just turning left and right, left and right, left and right, at what I'm going to call the greatest G-forces possible, right? Now I'm not reaching high G-force on my carving, if what I'm doing even qualifies as carving, but it's just something I want to practice. Because carving applies, if I understand correctly, it applies directly to turning, whether that be at high speed or in a race. And people have explained to me, they said, Joseph, you're fast. You can go fast. Most people don't go fast when they start out. And but I said, well, I think of fast as being someone that can do everything, like including turning fast. And people have said to me, no, if you can go fast straight, that's fast. But they said, you got to learn to carve. You have to learn to turn. So that's something that I want to continue to practice. And I feel like I just started doing that, carving, to a whole entirely greater level recently, when a couple people were guiding me and watching me from behind and saying, do this, do that, just giving me tips on what to do with my legs, my body, my head. And that helped a lot. Because someone can say you need to practice carving, and then another person could say, this is what you need to do specifically. Now, of course, that's just their opinion. That's just what works for them, or what they think would be the best approach. But it's still information. So here's some just kind of reflecting on something I was talking about earlier. It's been said that we use 10% of our brain, right? Now, I don't know if we're still saying that, but I think we are. I think that's still being said. Now, now here's a question. What percentage of the brain do we need to use to stop having war, to stop polluting the air? And I'm not talking about, oh, we just put a new additive in the gas. There's this new additive. What I noticed about additives that are in different fuels for vehicles, for transportation, is I don't ever hear how it affects us to breathe it, or how it affects the environment. Like if it says, makes the engine run cleaner. What if that's not the most important thing to me? What if the most important thing is not polluting the air, not harming our bodies by putting something in the air, right? I was talking to a biology major just out of college that was telling me that the only thing that comes out of the exhaust system is water vapor, nothing else. And he goes, look, I'll show you the equation. So he shows me, and then I said, I don't remember all the exact steps we took, okay, because this is a couple years ago. But then I said to them something like, look up combustion byproducts. Combustion byproducts. And this gentleman was able to look up what actually comes out of the exhaust pipe, even of a brand new car. And that same car, after 1 year of driving, or let's say 10,000 miles, 20,000 miles, 50,000 miles, you could see what's coming out of the exhaust. And that includes with regular maintenance, right? All recommended maintenance. It's not just water vapor. And we also have to look at, or it's also important to look at when we process the oil, which is what ultimately becomes gasoline, petrol, right? What are the environmental implications of that? What happens to the environment as a whole? And every part, every piece and part, and as a whole. Now, people are asking me to believe that it's all about greed and nothing else matters. It's all about just making the most money. But just talking to people, like people that are buying gasoline, they're just like, they just have to get to where they gotta go. And they're just buying the technology that's, I guess, most readily available. But I'll tell you this, there was a gentleman I was talking with recently that said he has a coworker. Like, this gentleman I'm talking about has a Tesla car, and he's so happy with it, so happy, and said charging is never an issue with a Tesla. So when you read articles about people's frustration with the charging network, it's, from what I've seen, it's always about someone that had bought something that's not a Tesla and doesn't have access to those Tesla chargers. Right now, I know that's supposed to change. People are saying it's going to change, it's going to change. I've been hearing that for a long time. And I don't know, all I know is right now, at this moment, what's today's date? September 3rd, I think, right now, because it's past midnight. It's Tuesday. 2024. people are still having trouble charging their electric vehicles because there's a long line, because the chargers aren't working. There's so many different reasons that people are frustrated with the electric vehicles, but not with Teslas. Tesla, they really did it. I mean, they really, really did it. They made it happen. You know, they built their own charging network. It's just so exciting, right? And when it comes to whether it be solar for the house or electric vehicle to get for commuting and travel, I always tell people, just go Tesla. All I see is an overwhelming number of people happy, just delighted with their experience, absolutely excited by it. And okay, I'm gonna cross here. You know what? I'm gonna take you by a charging station right now. I'm gonna take you by it. I found this completely by accident. I didn't look it up on the app, whatever app would show that, you know. I was just riding my electric unicycle and I saw all these charging stations. And it's a Tesla charging station. Look how many chargers they have. I just love how Tesla does things. Now, as you can see, there's no line for people to charge. There's open stations everywhere here. You know, that's Tesla. They know how to do it. You know, when I had a Nissan Leaf for a while, and I would go to a fast charger, let's say a fast charger, right? There'd be one fast charger at a location. How many cars do you think were lined up to use that one charger? Multiple cars. So if each car uses that fast charger for 30 minutes, and there's 3 cars in front of me, that's an hour and a half I have to wait. And then I have to still charge my vehicle. So I can see why people they'll buy an electric car and then they'll sell it and say, electric's not ready, I'm not happy. How come I bought this electric vehicle that has all this range and it meets all my needs for travel, except they can't charge it? Well, it's because it's not a Tesla. That's my thoughts. Because the Tesla, you can charge it quickly and the charging stations are open. I've never seen every single charging station being used at a Tesla, like over there at that place where I just took you. There's always charging stations open. I do want to make a video about I just lost my train of thought. It'll come back. Probably because I'm thinking about what I'm doing right now. Thinking about trying to get better at turning at higher speeds, right? Oh, I could clean my tire here by just going through this grass. Oh, it's slippery. I feel like I'm slipping all over the place. Wow. Okay. Now I have to be careful because the tire's wet. Are these raccoons? What are these? Yeah, they're raccoons. Hi, guys. Hi there. Hi. Like it was at least three raccoons. So I was starting to say I'm thinking about making a video, and then what was I going to say about it? Well, I'm interested in selling the links. That's one video I'd like to make, or I plan to make, or thinking about making, is why I'm selling the links, and I've only had it for like 3 weeks. Well, while I was waiting for the links to arrive, which I ordered it to save money, I ordered it, which was the 4-week shipping from Next Gen Mobility. It's like 4 or 5 weeks. And that's to save money, right? Well, while I was waiting for it, I learned about something called the Sherman L. SHERMAN, and then separate from that word is L, like love, or long range. Long range. And that has 50% more battery capacity and 50% more range than the Lynx. But it's made of magnesium. I think it has all similar specifications as the Lynx. The only difference is that it goes 50% further and still has the good batteries. I mean, I could charge this battery at 15 amps when needed if I'm on a long ride. That's wonderful. And that one's probably even higher because the battery's bigger. So let's see, what was I gonna say? I'm looking ahead here. I don't know what happened up there. We'll find out. See if we can get closer to that. Hopefully everybody's okay. Yeah, I want to sell the links. And I'm not sure if I'm just going to buy the Sherman L and then sell the links whenever I can, just sell it. Or if I'm going to sell the links first. Actually, it makes sense to buy the Sherman now. And then I'll still have a unicycle to ride. And then once I get the Sherman L, once it arrives, especially if I buy it from Next Gen Mobility, once it arrives, I could then focus on selling the links. I met paramedics once at a gym when we were talking, and they told me that, like, I think it was like 99% of their calls were heart problems. Heart problems, okay? People that were having problems with their heart. 99% or more, meaning like 99.999. So when I see these fire trucks and the paramedic and fire truck, when I see that, I think, is this a heart problem? Something with the heart, you know. I hope everybody's okay. So, yeah, Sherman L. Now, one of my thoughts is that look how quick the Sherman L came out. When the Lynx was like the greatest, right? It was like, oh, the Lynx is so great. And then just after a couple months, the Sherman L came out, which is basically a Lynx with just a few more pounds and a lot more range, which I don't know anybody that doesn't want more range. No one ever says, I don't want more range. I've never heard someone say that. Now, they'll say they don't want a real heavy electric unicycle, like for racing, but if you're just adding like 13 pounds, I think it is, approximately, and getting 50% more range. And what's another plus about the Sherman L? That extra weight adds stability. And everyone wants stability on an electric unicycle. Everyone. Stability is like really, really important. high speed stability, stopping stability, acceleration stability, stability in everywhere, every aspect of riding. So I do have a patch, or not a patch, but a plug kit in my backpack, which if I get a nail, I can pull the nail out and plug the tire where that nail was. Now someone asked me, because I'm running tubeless, right? This is the Lynx. I'm running the Lynx with the off-road tire, and I'm running it tubeless. Now I've been told that even though this tire is not rated for tubeless, I haven't heard of one instance where anyone had any trouble with that, right? Because the tubeless tire has to have a reinforced sidewall in it, and the rim has to be a special rim. People say that, right? But because so many people are running tubeless on this link, on the links, and haven't had any problems with the stock off-road tire or stock off-road tire, and taking the tube out, just adding the tubeless valve stem. It's been working great. Haven't lost any air. Now someone was asking me, well, what about all the little stickers that you get in a tire that can make a slow leak? And in my experience, those little stickers, they can't get through the tire. I mean, at least in my experience, they're not reaching all the way through the tire, because the tire has big knobbies on it, right? But that, someone I was talking to was telling me that runs tubes, and it has a leak, by the way. It has a slow leak. They're running slime in their links. They also have links. They're running slime in it as it leaks, has a slow leak. And I don't use slime anymore because it's so messy. When you change the tire and the tube and everything, when you work on it, it's just so messy. And I've had it explode, or the tire, the tube pop, and just spray slime everywhere. It's just so messy. I don't want to do that. That was mostly on scooters when I was using it, like a Xiaomi M365. I was always getting flat tires with that. But if you look at the tire on that scooter, the tire was very thin. The tire on the links and on electric unicycles is a thick, strong, like motorcycle tire, right? Very strong material. So I can tell you this, when I first received my links, the second day I rode it, I got a flat tire. The tire popped because the tube, which had proper air pressure in it, something happened to the tube. Somehow it pinched inside. I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. All I know is it leaked out. It wasn't the valve stem. Okay, so it leaked out, and second day riding it, got a flat tire. Okay, now what I did was I took the tire halfway off, or I took one side of the tire off, cut the tube, pulled it out, inserted the tubeless valve stem, put that in, put the tubeless valve stem in, which I had the drill, or Dremel. I had the Dremel the hole for where the valve stem goes through in the rim. I had to Dremel that out a little bit to make it bigger. And I put that in, put the tubeless valve stem in, put the tire back on, and I was using dish soap to help the tire to slide on really easy. And excuse me, filled it up with air. And so that same tire that I had when I got my links, when I received it, that got a tube, the tube popped after 2 days. I didn't do anything to the tire. The tire didn't have any hole in it, right? I think the tube was leaking at the valve, where the valve stem connects to the rest of the tube. The metal part of the valve stem connects to the rubber part, or whatever material the tube's made of. And that's where it split. You know, so I don't know if the tube just wasn't put in correctly or what, but some people say, well, if the tire pressure gets low, it can allow the tube to spin, or the tire to spin, and that will put a pressure on that area of the tube. If you're running a tube, it'll put a pressure on the tube between the valve stem where the metal connects to the rest of the tube that goes in the tire, right? And it can tear a hole in the tube. And there's different theories on why that happens and how it happens, but I know that my tire pressure was full. So I just didn't want to change the tube and have to deal with another flat tire again. I mean, to me, I've had good experiences running tubeless. And like someone explained to me, several people have explained to me that at high performance race level of anything, like whether it be motorcycles or whatever it may be, they're running tubeless, right? Cars, motorcycles, whatever it may be, at the real high-end level, the high performance level of racing. So I'm sticking with tubeless, and that's because I just don't get flat tires with that. And if I get one, I can plug the hole in a couple minutes. If I get a flat tire with a tube, I have to take the tube out, which takes a couple hours on an electric unicycle, right? And that's even with something like the Lynx, where it's considered to be an improvement compared to many models, right? The design of the Lynx is considered an improvement, but people are saying, please keep improving it because it's got a long ways to go, especially with getting the voltage higher. I think we're at 151 volts. People want more. People that race, that are pushing these things to the limits and beyond, want more voltage. And I agree with that. I'm a big advocate of high voltage. And if you look at the Energica motorcycle, electric motorcycle, I do think that's a high voltage system, and that's a very fast motorcycle. That's my favorite electric motorcycle for the price. Okay, something just happened right now. The tire got stuck in a line and it almost took me down. So I really have to watch for those lines and stay away from them. Now, I'm not talking about painted lines, but there could be a line, like a crack in the road that's goes the same direction as my tire's going, and that can cause a crash. And that's another reason that people carve. When you're carving back and forth like this, it protects you from getting stuck in those it protects you from getting stuck in a line like that. That's a straight line, like a crack that's in the road. People have explained it to me much better than I just explained it to you, but I'm just trying to say carving it protects you, right? It's safer. And also it lets you turn fast. Knowing how to turn quickly is like a carve is turning, right? A carve is like the capacity to turn with great speed. Yeah, we could probably say agility, speed, agility, and great force, great G-forces. So someone was explaining to me that I can keep my head still, meaning straight, and let the unicycle go back and forth, like at 2-second beats, like 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2, right, back and forth, back and forth. But I think it's just going to take a lot of practice. And also practicing on tracks, which is something I would like to do. Intro to Speed has their practice tracks that they make They'll build a track in an open area. So I would like to continue practicing on those tracks, as well as just many kinds of tracks, off-road and on-road. So the reason I switched over to the Insta360 Ace Pro was because a gentleman was explaining to me that he was having overheating problems when he added an external mic to his GoPro. And he said no one told him that that was an issue, but it was something that he was dealing with. And he said he learned that the Insta360 Ace Pro camera didn't have any overheating issues, even if you're using an external mic. Be right back.